All right, ladies and gents, today I'm answering one of your questions. This is an email that came in, and also I received an Instagram message about this particular topic asking me to offer up some suggestions for fragrances that this person can wear to his engagement party and impress his in-laws and his wife-to-be in the very, very near future. So today I'm offering up suggestions of my own, but before I get to those, I'm going to read to you the email that he sent, and then also let you know which fragrances that he's currently wearing. So if you want to find out what they are, then please stay tuned. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian, and yes, today I'm answering an email about fragrances to wear to an engagement party and impress your new in-laws and of course your wife-to-be as well. So there are fragrances that I decided to put together for this particular video and answering this question because this person lives in Tunisia and I don't know what kind of a fragrance market there is there. The fragrances that he's currently wearing are mostly designer. There were a few, I think there was a few niche in there, but they were very popular brands. So this is what I'm going to do as well with my suggestions. I'm going to offer up more popular niche houses. There are a few designers in here as well, but the reason I'm doing that is because I'm not sure, as I said, what kind of a market there is for fragrances in Tunisia, and I don't know how much accessibility there are to certain smaller brands and things like that. So the brands that I'm talking about are definitely some designers and pretty well-known niche houses that should be fairly easy to get. But let me go ahead and read you the email that he sent me. Hello, first I want to congratulate you for the amazing job you are doing on your YouTube channel. Many of your recommendations have been really useful in my life. I'm contacting you because I need a recommendation for my engagement. A Tunisian habit we do here is that my family goes to the house of my beloved girlfriend to ask for the blessing of her family. It will be an indoor meeting in the middle of November. Cold weather, never snowy here. Please find below the suits that I may wear one of them. I used to recommend fragrances for special occasions for my friends, but this time I'm kind of looking for something special and different for me. I need a fragrance that will make my lady find me sexy and that shows her how much I love and I care about her. All the people on the room should find it mysterious and new for them. The designer's fragrances are the most popular here: Dior, Givenchy, Chanel, etc. I want something pleasant but deep at the same time. I want it to make me feel confident and cool, and especially that will inspire confidence on me from my parents-in-law. Fragrance shouldn't be too challenging nor a kind that will choke people, as it will be a pregnant lady there. I hope that you can help me choose the good one for my special day. It will mean a lot to me. Currently I wear Jean Paul Gaultier Ultra Male. I like the masculinity I get from it. I don't like too much the performance. Spice Balm Extreme. I love the spices there. Need a really close person to smell it. Black Orchid, Tom Ford Chocolate Gourmands, different and confident. I wear it too much. Black Afghano, the combination between patchouli and oud. Oud isn't good for the indoor, always afraid of choking peoples. Azzaro, Wanted by Night, Oriental, and Not in Your Face. I hate the performance. So those are the fragrances that he is currently wearing, and that was his email. So I'm going to start off first for something very, very classy because of the suits he's wearing. I mean, the type of suits that he's going to be wearing would make it perfect fragrance for this first suggestion. Since he does like to dress up in suits and things like that, I find Fougère fragrances to be ultra dressy, very, very classy and elegant at the same time. First one I'm going to recommend is Houbigant's Fugue Royale. It's definitely a barbershoppy fragrance, and also it's a little on the fresh side. There's not a lot of warm notes in here. They're definitely cooler or fresher notes, but lots of woods and aromatics and things like that. So I think this would be a great suggestion to wear, and keeping in mind that he is going to be in close room or a house or something, and he doesn't not want to choke a lot of people, so he said no oud, and the intensity of fragrances, it should not be overwhelming. So I think this is a great start, Fougère Royale. And Fougère Royale would be a perfect scent because it has lots of lavender, geranium, oak moss, green notes, chamomile, bergamot, carnation, cinnamon, clary sage, and patchouli. And I do enjoy this particular fragrance. As I said, it's very dressy, it's very classy, and the type of suits that he likes, I can totally see this kind of a fragrance working with him. And he'll smell fresh, he'll smell very, very aromatic, green, earthy, easy. You know, it does have the patchouli, it does have the citruses and also the oak mossy touches, but it's a very, very balanced fragrance. It smells perfect. It does garner compliments. It is a little classic. Of course it is. It's very, very classic, but also a modern version of that classic fragrance. Originally, this came out in the 1800s, the late 1800s. It was the very first Fougère fragrance. Fugue Royale. This particular version is from 2010, so it's a modern interpretation of that older fragrance. So I think this is a great fragrance. Performance-wise, I think it's very, very moderate. It's not beast, and I think I took that into consideration when coming up with these suggestions, because I wanted to make sure that he's not going to choke people out in that room. So it's a great smell. Check it out, Fugue Royale from Houbigant. I think that should be fairly easy to get, and he's in Tunisia, which is off the Mediterranean Sea, so just across in the north. Is close to France anyway, so I think the fragrances should be fairly easy to get there. But again, I don't know 100% what kind of perfume shops there are there, so these hopefully will be fairly easy to find. The next fragrance I'm talking about is from the house of Amouage. This is Boundless here. Boundless, I'm suggesting because he liked Spice Bomb, and this is tobacco and resins after all, and a little bit of spice, well, not a little spices, it's a lot of spices and with some fruity touches in there as well. And it's the kind of fragrance that sounds like, with the notes, it's going to be beast mode. There is a little bit of a lightness about it, but a great lingering power. So I was trying to pick fragrances for him that would smell great, last a good amount of time, but not like scream out, because he's trying to avoid those kind of fragrances, not really projection and things like that. And I thought this would be perfect. Again, for me, it wears a little closer to the skin with great longevity, but it has great lingering power. For other people, I think depends on the person and their chemistry, so I always recommend that you test these fragrances out first. But this is a great fragrance, wonderful creation with this kind of like tobacco-ish resin touches with lots of spices. There's some fruity citrus touches in here as well, but tobacco, myrrh, cardamom, vanilla, blood orange, ginger, elemi, benzoin, incense, cacao, gaiac wood, vetiver, patchouli. I was trying to make or suggest fragrances that would have lots of vetiver and patchouli, and even though we started with that Fugue Royale, the Fougère, the barbershop, we're going to get into a lot of fragrances here that have patchouli and vetiver. I think these are great fragrances, and I made sure to select fragrances from houses that are not necessarily known for screamers. Although Amouage is known for screaming fragrances, I find this fragrance to be a little subdued and perfect for smelling great, a great longevity, but not choking people out that are near you or around you. So Amouage Boundless, a great scent. Check that out. It's a little sleeper fragrance, but I think really smells wonderful. I like the combination of the notes in that fragrance. The next fragrance I'm talking about is Chavoy's Incident Diplomatique, a very classy fragrance that garners compliments. It's also very sexy, and I like the combination of two styles of vetiver here, along with patchouli, nutmeg, and mandarin orange. There's some sandalwood in here as well, but the combination is beautiful. It's a head turner. People stop and ask you what you're wearing. Again, not recently. These compliments were a lot more before the pandemic started, so I'm not getting too many compliments nowadays, although lately I have been, and I do get them from strangers. We do get them here downtown because I walk in the city quite a bit. But this is a great fragrance. It might be a little more intense than the other two fragrances, but I think it's subtle enough for not overly intense enough to choke people too much. With this particular fragrance, you might have to adjust according to what you think or how you think people will react in the room. So if you're used to spraying something like 6, 7, 8 sprays, you might do something like 4 or 5 sprays with this one. But it's a really great fragrance. Very masculine, very classy. The patchouli and vetiver earthiness together is magic here. Exactly what I like. The two working wonderfully together. And I highly recommend that this is one that he should try. So Chavoy Incident Diplomatique, a great fragrance for this engagement party and to impress the new in-laws. Next fragrance I'm talking about is another vetiver fragrance. No patchouli patchouli in this one, but it's a unique take on a vetiver. Going in the gourmand direction, I'm speaking about Atelier de Orange's Fat Electrician, and I wanted to offer up this one because he did mention he liked sweet fragrances in a couple of the suggestions, so that's why I'm offering up this one. And even though it's vetiver with its, you know, earthiness, this dampness, this what do you call it, like deep rooty kind of earthiness and woodiness, I think it contrasts beautifully with the kind of gourmandish touches and wears wonderfully. What I like about this one is that whipped cream with the vetiver and also the marron glacé, which is the candied chestnuts. I think it's candied chestnuts, but the combination is great. Never think about vetiver contrasted with kind of gourmandish notes, but really does work great here with a funny name as well, Fat Electrician. And if you get the compliments and things like that with this particular one and you bring up the name, people will start, you know, making conversations with you and things like that. So it's a very, very catchy name. It has a great story around this particular fragrance as well. You can go catch my videos on Atelier de Orange, and the owner of the brand, Etienne, was talking to me about what this the name of this particular fragrance. But for more detailed notes, it's whipped cream, marron glacé, vetiver, vanilla, olive leaf, myrrh, and a popanax. So there are those resinous touches in here, sweetened up with some of the resins in here. Of course, vanilla, but in the end, it's vetiver contrasted with these kind of sweet gourmand notes. It's unusual, but also really, really great. Fat Electrician, a great, great fragrance from the house of Atelier de Orange, one of my offerings for this particular scenario. But then we're going to the house of Louis Vuitton with Orage. Again, this is the vetiver and patchouli combination, but in this particular mix, we're also throwing in iris. And, you know, it's a very, very classy fragrance, and it's one of those fragrances, again, it's patchouli with vetiver this time, and bergamot and grapefruit, but it's not overwhelming with the patchouli. And patchouli, to me, has great, great lingering power. And again, I wanted to pick fragrances that don't scream, that don't project too much. And this has great lingering power, but it doesn't have that kind of like intensity that he doesn't want. So I think that's why it's perfect. It's also from a designer, pretty recognizable. I'm sure there are stores near him, Louis Vuitton boutiques, that he can go find this one at. But patchouli, iris, bergamot, vetiver, grapefruit, ISOE super, musk, Hedione, black pepper. So there are spicy touches and of course powdery touches, but in the end what I like about this is the marriage between the patchouli, the iris, the bergamot, and vetiver. Now I would also throw in that grapefruit, that because the grapefruit has the zingy spiciness. It's the kind of a spicy citrus that I really, really like. It's totally different than bergamot because it's kind of a sweet tartness, but with the grapefruit you've got not only tartness, but you've got that zing spiciness in there as well along with that. Great fragrance, really, really wonderful fragrance. I think it's a great creation and very, very classy for men to wear from the house of Louis Vuitton. Orage, check that one out. I'm throwing in one floral take, and he did like Tom Ford, and I don't know if he knows this particular one. This is Noir de Noir from Tom Ford. I think it's so super sexy, and it has roses in it, but it's kind of like a dark take on roses. It's a chypre style fragrance with patchouli, rose, truffles, saffron, floral notes of vanilla, oud, oak moss. Yeah, it's a chypre style fragrance. And when I was first wearing this particular fragrance, Noir de Noir, it garnered me so many compliments, and I loved it. It has a great trail once again. It's also, again, it's Tom Ford, but it's not overwhelming. It's gone through much reformulations, and it doesn't have the intensity and depth and oomph that it once did. So that's kind of why I'm recommending this one. I hope he likes rose. It's a different take on rose. It's that rose patchouli combo, and it's a dark rose contrasted with truffles from the earth under the ground that are very, very prized and expensive. So the smell is fantastic. You've got the vanilla, you've got the oud and the oak moss in here as well, so it makes for kind of a dark chypre style. Wonderful fragrance. Very, very delicious, very, very sexy. It's also unisex, so if you end up you know, getting this particular fragrance, you can share it with your new wife as well. So Tom Ford's Noir de Noir, a great, great suggestion. I really, really love that one. I rarely speak about it anymore, but at one time I was constantly talking about that fragrance. It's really, really a very, very sexy fragrance. And even though he said Dior is plentiful in his, you know, neck of the woods, I'm going to go ahead and suggest one more fragrance from the house of Dior. This is Diorama Intense. He did not mention he was wearing this one, so that's why I'm offering it up. I'm not suggesting Dior Homme Parfum because it is a little more beastlier than this, but this one has its classiness and also the sexiness that I think he should enjoy. There's enough sweetness here, you know, to experience the sweetness of some of the other fragrances he was wearing, but in the end it's a powdery musky fragrance featuring iris, ambrette, leather, pear, lavender, cedar, vetiver. And leather I mentioned in here, it's not overly intense as it is in the Dior Homme Parfum, but you do experience a little bit of a leathery touch in here. But the combination of iris and leather together is very, very sexy, and I think and again, I always say Dior Homme Parfum is probably one of the best designer fragrances. Dior Homme Intense is what became or turned into Dior Homme Parfum. So I did enjoy Dior Homme Intense, but when I have the more intense version, I would go with that. But I think this is a great suggestion, especially since he did not recommend or he did not mention that he wore it. And if he doesn't wear this one now, he definitely should have it in his collection because it's definitely very, very classy, you know, fragrance that would be perfect for an engagement, you know, party or event. Totally. I think it smells great. People react positively to it, and it's that kind of lipsticky, iris leather kind of combo, musky. That's really, really beautiful. So Dior Homme Intense. That's my last suggestion. And those are the fragrances I think I would go with. I wanted to find fragrances that would be easy to get. Again, no obscure brands. You should have a fairly easy time to get those fragrances, especially since you know, France being just above. Across the Mediterranean. I don't know. Again, hopefully he'll be able to find these, but as I always say, test them out before you blind buy. My tastes are my tastes. You might not like my tastes, but if you've been following me and watching my videos, you probably do enjoy my taste. But anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. Let me know what you would recommend this person for a fragrance to wear for this engagement. Put a comment on it. What do you think about the fragrances I recommended? Either way, thanks so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.